Today's video is my full review of the Garmin Fenix 7. However, I am not an advanced workout product reviewer, so I will not be reviewing in depth the workout features of this device. I will be talking about it as a pretty regular user that sometimes use it for workout tracking, but also for more general lifestyle tracking, as well as some non-workout related features that I think are really interesting with a device like this. If you want a workout focused review or a full walkthrough of all the different features, there are plenty of other reviewers that have done these, and I will be linking to a few of those down in the description below, so you can find some super in-depth videos on this particular Garmin product. Let's do a quick unboxing of the device, and there's really not that much special going on here. The box is a fairly simple setup. It opens up with removing one of the little tape pieces on the side, and then you have a slow opening effect until the box comes off and reveal the watch. When you take it out of there, you reveal the different accessories that it comes with, and there's not a lot here. It comes with one wristband, which is in silicone, and it is of a grayish color. And it comes with the charging cable, which is proprietary. Something that I find a little bit annoying, but there's not much to do about it, except that you have a little quick start guide and a manual, and that is it for the box. I switched to the leather band partly because I think it looks really good, but also because I started getting itches quite quickly from this silicone wristband, and it was not comfortable at all for me to use this. This is the only wristband that the watch comes with, so you might have to switch off of this wristband if you want a sleeker look that is not as sporty as this guy, or if you are also getting itches from it and want a leather wristband or a fabric wristband or something similar. It is super easy to switch the wristbands because you do have these quick locks, so you can just snap out one wristband and then you snap in another wristband, and that is as easy as it is to switch it out. Especially now it's great when I have two of the same part of the wristband right there. I'm not going to do a full-on walkthrough of the device, but let's do a quick one so that we are on the same page of how the Garmin watches work. I thought it was a little bit complicated to get into it at first, so I want to give you the quick version of how I am using this watch on a daily basis. Up top here you have the backlight button that also doubles as a flashlight, which is a not very fancy one. It just turns the screen completely white, so it lights up briefly what is around you. If you hold down that one, then you get into the quick navigations, and you can flip around here to do a bunch of different things. And mainly in here, I would be using this to switch on battery saver, which is something I was using at times a lot, or go into the music controls and use it with my Bluetooth headphones connected straight to the watch, or I would use it with the wallet, which gives you the ability to put your payment card in, and then you can use the watch to do wireless payments when you're out and about. Something that is super handy because you don't have to bring your wallet, you don't have to bring your phone when you're out on a workout. So the button in the bottom right is the back button. So anywhere you are and you click that, you come to the previous screen. The middle button is used for navigating up in the glances, and the bottom button on the left is used for navigating down in the glances. And the glances, they are a bunch of different information that you can scroll through, and you can select what you want to have visible here. For example, if you want to see more of the sleep data, then you can click on sleep, and then you get into the widget with sleep, where you can have a look at all the different data that is available there. If you want to go back, you either sweep back on the display or click the back button on the bottom right. If you hold the middle button on the left-hand side, you come into the settings, and here you can flip through a bunch of different settings. And I'm not going to go through all of them right now, but there is a ton of things you can customize with this watch. Pressing and holding the down button is only going to give you whatever shortcut you set that button to be. When you press the top right button, that is the start of an activity button, and it also works as a general select button. So here you can see when we flip through that I have run, walk, meditation, dancing, breathwork, yoga, and so on and so forth. Some of these activities have a specific app for them. So for example, if you go into the run, then you're going to have a bunch of different things. When holding the settings, then you have the run settings here, and you can select what screens you want available, but you can also select the different training modes, you can select navigation, you have a ton of things available here in this app. Then if you flip to some other app, there might be less things to choose from, like the meditation app for me is only a timer basically. A timer that is giving me a short vibration every 30 minutes. But if you go down to the yoga app, then in the yoga app, if you want to, you can go into the settings and you can get some training options for yoga. You have the workouts available, and then you can say we want to do sun salutation and then do workout. We start the timer and it shows you're going to do mountain pose for 45 seconds. We start mountain pose and it shows us how we do mountain pose and has that timer that counts down the amount of time we're going to be there. As you can see here, we can flip through the different screens that are set up for this activity. But I think this is super handy. If you're not into yoga or into strength training, the watch can really help you to do the workout that you want to do. Now, if we stop the workout and then we can either discard it or save it. I'm going to discard it since it was just a little trial here for the review. I didn't mention it, but you can always use the touchscreen to flip around in the different menus. And this is something that comes in handy quite a bit, but not as often as I thought it would, because the buttons, they really do their work well when you're getting into how to use them. One of the things that you would want to do in terms of setting is find a watch face that you are comfortable with. This is the one that I landed on that has a lot of data, but I really liked it. There are a bunch of other watch faces available, and also in the Connect IQ app, you can find a lot more, and either maybe you want something super simple like this guy, or you want something that is more data heavy like the one I am using. If you want to download the watch face, it is called Digital for Tactics D version 2 beta. My original use cases for getting the Fenix 7 was running, and I was going to track my runs to be able to practice for a half marathon that I'm going to run towards the end of May. I really wanted to be able to make sure that I am sleeping enough and working out enough to be able to run that marathon, not at a particular speed, but just make it through. I have generally been into sleep tracking, and I heard that the sleep tracking of the Garmin watches is very good, and it's something that I really wanted to track for some time to see how am I sleeping, what is affecting my sleep the most, and just getting an overall insight in whether I'm sleeping enough and with enough quality to be able to live the kind of lifestyle that I typically do. The sleep tracking capabilities is a big strength of the watch. However, they're not perfect. They don't really work with power naps, for example. But for a regular night's sleep, they provide a very good insight on how long you've been sleeping, the score of your sleep, the quality, and then it just sets one word to cover how the night's sleep was, in this case restless. Then when you flip down, you can see a little curve over how the night's sleep was and the different phases. And then you can see there was 1 hour and 22 minutes of deep sleep and 1 hour and 30 minutes of REM sleep and 13 minutes awake time during this night. And then it gives you a comment, and here it says, although you slept long enough, your sleep was restless, which maybe makes sense, I don't know. The next step here is a curve of your sleep score for the past few days. Well, the days of the last week, that is. And what I really like here is not the fact that you are tracking your sleep really intensely, which in some cases I think can actually make you sleep worse. But when I've been really stressed out during an evening, or when I've been drinking coffee late at night, or when I've been drinking alcohol, and I can see the effect this has on sleep, this has really made me reconsider some of the choices that I've done, both when it comes to what I consume before going to bed and what I do before going to bed. I also really appreciated having the silent alarm, just a silent vibration and nudge to wake me up, especially if you're sleeping with someone else or with someone in the same room and you wake up at separate times. It is so good to have a silent alarm that is just vibrating to wake you up, and then you can decide if you want to snooze it for 10 minutes or if you're ready to wake up right away. The use cases that I was really not interested in when it comes to this watch were all the different notification and phone connecting features. I want to sync the data to my phone, but I'm not interested in receiving notifications to this device. I'm not interested in getting calls forwarded to the device. There are a bunch of new use cases that I have been using the watch for that I didn't really know I would be using it for before I got it and started seeing what was available. And one of the most important use cases that I had no idea I would be so into is called body battery. And the funny thing with this is that it might sound super weird to track yourself on that extent, but it works really well, and it actually shows me the relationship between how I'm sleeping, how I'm working out, and what level of stress I am during the day. And I have to say, the watch really knows me quite well, because sometimes I would be annoyed at the watch for telling me that I'm stressed when I believe I'm not stressed, but then I would realize afterwards that the watch was right and I was wrong. And this affects the body battery a lot, so you can see how it depletes there over the course of the day, depending on these factors. Payments on the go work really well with the Garmin Pay feature, which you access by pushing in the light button for long, and then you have the payments right there. Now it says wallet is empty because I removed my card since I'm not using this watch actively right now. It is very easy though. When you have the wallet in here, you just tap your passcode, which is 4 digits, and then it's right away ready to pay with wireless payments. One of the pros is for sure the looks of it. I think it's pretty sleek, and with this leather wristband that I'm using it with, it looks pretty much as a normal watch. When I don't use a Garmin watch, I typically use my Certina DS Podium, and as you can see here, the Garmin watch is of course a bit bigger than the Certina, but except that they are somewhat similar in their looks. Let's go through the main pros that I found with using this watch. One of the reasons why I really appreciated using this device, which is the fact that it made me use my phone so much less. So some of the features that I'm super happy to have here is of course the watch, the data that I have available here in the watch face, the flashlight that I was just showing you, the payment feature, the navigation features, and the map features, which work really well. It works really well for tracking your runs, but it works equally well for tracking whatever it is you're doing in town or when you're out traveling and need a map and don't want to have your phone open and available all the time. I also think one of the big pros of this watch is the price. I paid about 550 euros for it, and this is a really good price for the kind of features that you get in it. I have been using cheaper smartwatches before, but they haven't been anywhere near this guy when it comes to the workout capabilities, to the tracking capabilities, GPS and so on and so forth, built-in maps, all the features around tracking your health, your sleep, body battery, and as well as having great battery life, which really helps in being a usable device. The battery life and the charge time are two very obvious pros of the watch. The battery life is around 2 weeks or a bit more, and the charge time is only about an hour and a half to get it from 0 to full, which I find to be pretty amazing when the battery lasts for that long. Let's go over some of the cons of the watch. I think that when I started using it, it felt slightly big and bulky. I think that was mainly because I came from using an Instinct 2S, which is a very small watch in comparison. And this guy is for sure big, and with this leather wristband as well, it became quite heavy. And you can definitely feel it on the arm when you're putting it on there. I think the watch is lacking some of the workout profiles that I would really like to see. For example, ice skating and meditation. And I couldn't really perfectly recreate these profiles by copying other activities. I do copy them and I do use them, but then when I synchronize with the phone, they still show up as the original activity. So for example, I want to use ice skating, it shows up as skating. When I want to use meditation, it shows up as yoga. One of the important cons I find is that the buttons are a little bit too stiff. And I get why they have done this, because you don't want to press the buttons accidentally, but they are a little bit too stiff for them to be comfortable to use, I think. And it does have a touchscreen, so you can always navigate using the touchscreen as well. But the fact that the buttons are so stiff is something that put me off of using this watch and made me more eager to switch into an alternative Garmin watch down the line. I thought there would be 32 gigabytes of memory, because I just assumed that all the Garmin watches would have 32 gigabytes so that you could have maps preloaded onto them for pretty much the whole world, and then have space for a bunch of podcasts, a bunch of music, etc. In this case, it's only 16 gigabytes of storage, which is enough to download one part of Europe. So in my case, I have to download Central Europe, and then the rest of Europe and the rest of the world is not available, and I have to switch maps if I would travel to another region, something that I didn't appreciate at all. Then there's also a relatively limited amount of space of music and podcasts that you can put onto it. That's not a huge problem. You can always switch around what playlists you're syncing to the watch. So I don't find that a big thing. The maps is definitely the biggie when it comes to the storage of the watch. Except that there's also a ton of features in the watch that I know I won't be using. But that's not really a problem. This is just a matter of what you prioritize. And you just know that you have a bunch of features there that you would probably not be using. And if you find a use case for them at some point in time, then so be it. And if not, you just have extra features that you probably paid a bit extra for, but you also got all the stuff that you wanted from the watch. To conclude this review, I really loved my time with the Fenix 7, and I loved the look of it together with this leather wristband that I bought pretty cheap, and I will be adding a link to where you can find this wristband so that you can pick it up if you're interested. However, there were a bunch of things that I kind of got disturbed with, and looking into the rest of the lineup of Garmin watches, I realized I would probably be more well off by selecting one of the larger sizes that comes with solar, that comes with a flashlight in the front here, the larger memory that's able to store worldwide topo maps. This one you just have a limited amount of topo maps that you can put onto it, as well as music storage, etc. So these things, I got a little bit annoyed and I decided that I would be upgrading. So I bought a Garmin Enduro 2 instead. And here you have my current watch, the Garmin Enduro 2, with a slightly different watch face that is only available for the larger Garmin watches. I really like the black look of the Enduro 2, and I really like the feel of this fabric wristband that it comes included with. I have a bit of a problem with these yellow details that they put a lot of focus on in this design, but I am trying to live with it as much as possible. I am a big fan of the flashlight that is not available in the Fenix 7, and I've been using this a ton when I've been out running, but as well as when I'm doing different things in regular life. You don't have to have a workout going to really benefit from having a flashlight always available strapped onto your hand. There will be a review coming up of the Enduro 2, as well as a bit of a comparison video between these two devices, so that I can talk a bit more about the similarities and the differences that I found when using them. That is it for my review of the Garmin Fenix 7, the first of the Fenix lineup that I was trying, and a watch that I was really impressed with, although I realized it's not the perfect watch model from the Garmin lineup for me. If you have any questions about the Fenix 7, you can ask it down in the comments below. I read all the comments and I'm usually pretty quick to reply. If you want to buy the Fenix 7, I will put some links in the description below to where you can find it. I am W2West, I make in-depth gear reviews and tutorials, and I will see you in the next video. Have a nice day, bye bye!